Hey guys, Whitney here and welcome to TEFLPros. On today's call, I sat down with our recent grad, Nuri. Nuri's story is really cool. She actually got started on her TEFL in the midst of her college career. So if that's something that you can relate to, I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy hearing about Nuri's experience on the TEFLPros Plus course. Hey Nuri.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day and hopping on one of these calls. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So, Nuri, I know that you're a busy college senior right now. And the first thing that we always like to ask folks when they're coming off of the program is, could you share with folks a little bit about your life prior to getting TEFL certified? If you could just, give them some perspective on kind of where you're at.
Yeah, so when I decided to take the course, I had just sort of come out of uni and not in a great way. So I was a little bit at a loss and I didn't really know what I was going to do next. And I had a little bit of teaching experience. I had a summer job teaching kids and I had enjoyed that. So I thought, okay, that's a good thing for me to do. I'm going to get a TEFL course. And yeah, it ended up being very good for me because it gave me a bit more direction in where I wanted to take my life.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so for reference, where are you based?
Yeah, I'm in the UK.
You're in the UK. Okay. All right. So you were kind of at a transition point a bit in life.
Yeah.
When you stepped in. Yeah, well, good. I'm glad that it was helpful during that time in your life, Nuri. And, another thing that is often on people's minds when they make that decision, okay, I want to possibly get started with a TEFL, then comes the research, the fun stuff of okay, so how do I actually figure out how to go about doing this? So what was that process like for you when you started searching?
Well, at the time, I had just taken a full-time job in a very remote location. So doing an in-person TEFL course was just not on the table for me. So I started looking at online courses. But the thing is, in general, I'm quite anti-online learning. I really hate it. I find it really difficult. So I was looking at all of these different courses, and the main thing that I was looking for was how are they taking things the things that are missing from an in-person classroom, how am I going to get those things? So yeah, the main thing that drew me to this course was the you have to watch people teach lessons. You have to actually observe some kind of in-person class that gives you an idea of what teaching in a classroom is actually like.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I was very anti-online learning. for many years. Yeah,
yeah.
I know. And I'm maybe I should tell people that, but yeah, I totally feel you on that, where it's especially being a teacher, you already had experience where what that's like. It's active. You have to be, dealing with people in all different scenarios. So oh, that's fascinating. Okay, so the classroom observations were a big thing for you. Was there anything else on the research side, Nuri, that kind of, I don't know, was a struggle or that helped you? Or
I mean, it's pretty difficult to find accurate information online because it's kind of hard to obviously if you have a TEFL course that you're marketing to people, you don't want to just give them the whole thing, right? In your marketing strategy, that's not going to work. But at the same time, before you spend money on getting a course, you want to know that it's good and that the lessons are actually going to be good quality. So yeah, it is a struggle.
Did you I know it's been a while since we first
it really has.
Yeah, so I'm kind of trying to go back in my mind here. Did you do the free trial? Was that something that
I did.
Yeah. So you got to see some examples on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we spoke. So, you know, yeah. Then that was on me, whether or not, you know, whether or not that was helpful or not. So you made the decision, you got started, you know, you're obviously coming out the other end now. So what was the experience like for you, just in general?
It was quite good. And I'm going to compliment you here. Like, this has definitely been my like best experience of online teaching. Mainly because like I think it's sort of laid out in a way that's easy to do. And especially like for me, I really had to be flexible with when I was doing it. It was easy to just sort of like log in and do part of the course and then be like, okay, well, I've done something for today. And I like how it was laid out in sort of like specific ways. And I like the outlines that like tell you how to take notes, because that just it really helps to have a focus when you're watching a video, because it's so easy to get distracted. Yeah, you probably know, like during COVID when you're looking at like recorded lessons, it's just so easy to be like staring out of the window for 20 minutes. But if you have a sort of like paper in front of you and you're like, okay, I need to fill this out, it's way easier to keep yourself engaged.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, the like things like classroom observations, when you're actually sitting there in the back of the classroom, even that, I mean, it's so easy to like start listening to what some students over here are saying or what this group over here is doing. And it's like, nope, I need to be actually taking notes. Like, what is this teacher doing? What's working? What's not? What are the students doing? So yeah, I'm glad that those prompts were helpful for you. Was there anything else? You mentioned, okay, the layout was helpful for you. The flexibility worked with your schedule. I can see that you're juggling a lot of different things in your life. And then classroom observations, anything else beyond that you'd like to share?
I guess the other thing that I really like is that this is like a teaching course. It's not just about like English. It's about sort of like, this is what it's like going to be like to be in a classroom, and this is how you need to interact with your students and that kind of thing. Like, because I'm sure some people who are looking to get certified are already qualified teachers, and so for them it might not be so much of a concern. But I wasn't really a qualified teacher. I like had a bit of experience as a teaching assistant, so I was like, oh, I want to get like do a course that's actually going to teach me practical skills for being a teacher in a classroom. Yeah, I
get that, because it's scary to like go in at first.
It is scary. Yeah.
Like I remember your first call when you were like, oh yeah, I've already had some experience. I'm like, wow, she's so brave. Like I would have been scared to death at that age to like go in just like, yeah, I'm going to volunteer and teach some classes. Like my hat goes off to you for being able to do that. That's awesome. So Nuri, you know, this is my final question. Everyone gets asked this question. If you had someone come to you and they're like, I'm really on the fence, I think doing something like TEFL would be a good fit for me, but I'm just scared to get started. You know, maybe they're in their minds, they're already thinking, oh my gosh, that means I might be moving to another country, and you know, all the stuff that comes with that package. So what would be your advice to someone in that position?
I mean, obviously, you know, think about what you want to do. Like, you should like take stock of like where you're at in life and like, okay, so if I do this, like, how would it work? Would it be like a good fit for me? But at the same time, I think it really can't hurt to like learn new skills and, you know, try something new in life. And like personally, I think that like, because I have lived abroad before, I think that going to another country and living there was one of like the most like enriching experiences of my life, and I grew so much as a person in that year, because there are experiences that you have living in another country that you just can't have if you stay in one country. And I know it's not for everybody, but I think like there is nothing like living abroad, and it can be an amazing experience if you give it a try.
That's great advice, Nuri. Thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem.